fucked it up again. Who's surprised? Who's surprised? Jack's fucked it up again. Oh, we're sleeping apparently. So, can I get out of here, please? Hello? Okay. I'm kind of having a pity party for myself this morning. I don't know. I'm just having a time. Right. What was I doing? I started this off stream. And I'm making a circle. So what circle is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. So it's a 7 and then 3. Okay, and then this should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Okay. And then a 2. One, 2, and then a 3, I think. 2, 3. Right? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then diagonal 1, 2. It's here. Ooh, iron. It's here, and then that's 1, 2. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then 7. I want to clear this out just for like what we have. I locked my cat in here. I was like, Nimbus, go away. And I was like, wait, Nimbus is in here. Nimba, what were you hiding? Where were you hiding? Hi, baby. You can't be in here while I'm streaming. Yeah. Can we have some purrs? Some purrs from my Nimbus. Alright, I gotta go kick her out. Hang on one sec. Well, that'll make for a good clip if I remember to clip it. Okay. My squeaky chair. My squeaky cat. Do I have any torches on me? I don't have any torches on me. Why did I decide to do this with an inventory full of banners? I don't know. I don't know. Jack's a silly. Jack's a silly. I don't know. Why don't we just leave it like that for now and then I'll deal with the gravel later. Crafting some mines! Kenjamin, you just missed my cat! I accidentally left Nimbus in here before I started streaming, so we got some purrs. We got some purrs and a possible meow from my Nimbus. Ah, Gravel, the mortal enemy of all life on Earth. Luke, you also just missed my cat. I'm so sorry, guys. I'll be sure to clip that. So and I'll post it so that you guys can all hear the wonderful purrs of my Nimbus. It's too bad. She could have revealed herself much later. But she decided to appear immediately. I'll gladly take any gravel you don't want. What are you doing with gravel, Kenj? I have a lot. Although I keep getting flint. So. I don't know. Only use it for making paths. Oh. Concrete for mapper. Oh, right, concrete. You are also welcome to use my wool farm if you need it, Kenj. If you need the wool. So now we have 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My fish keeps launching themselves. I don't have fish. What do you mean? I don't have fish. Oh my god. Where the heck did that come from? Why did a fish spawn here? Ah, Kenj has a wool farm. Well, look at you being fancy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Oh. It's very fancy. Automated collection tool. Yeah. I forgot about the gravel. So much gravel. We played D&D in person yesterday, finally. Once again, finally back in person. Very excited about that. Very, very excited indeed. What is it? Is this? Oh, it's not. Okay. Wait, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. That contraption is utterly spectacular, and thus should be described as incredibly fancy. You guys are so silly. You guys are so silly. But one of my friends has a girlfriend now, so that's exciting. And they're also gonna start playing D&D with us next week. So we're gonna have a new player! Yay! Apparently they are they are very familiar with D&D, so yeah. I will accept incredibly fancy as the wool is also color coordinated. Oh, wow. I should actually go check on my wool farm and see how it's doing. But I really want to get this cleared out. I should get some torches before mobs spawn in here. Housecraft, what's up, Play Possum? Can I put my banners away? I started making my banners for my villagers. I'm a professional colorist. Of course I was gonna color code it. Yeah, you gotta. It's, sorry that you keep seeing me disconnect and reconnect. Oh, no, that's fine. I understand the internets. No, I don't. I don't understand the internets. But I understand that it sucks sometimes. What is in my inventory? My goodness. I need to make those into clay blocks. Okay, I'm here for torches. Oh yeah, I also updated some of the colors in here, so now we have a little more contrast. The fences are dark oak instead of spruce, so it's no longer spruce on spruce. What did I say about mobs spawning? What did I say? I knew it would happen. I knew it would happen. Alright. It shouldn't happen anymore. I should get some torches so that mobs don't spawn in here as soon as I leave and come back. A mob. If you press T and go into the chat or open some other GUI like your inventory, it won't kick you. Oh. Oh, wait, that's... Yeah. That's actually... That's a genius hack. Thank you. All this... I only ever get flint from gravel anymore. And I think it's because, I don't know if it's like efficient. What do I have on here? Oh, it's fortune. I don't know why I have fortune on my shovel. It was probably gifted to me. That shovel was probably gifted to me. Yeah, I don't know why Bedrock boots you when you switch tabs. Like, why? It's kind of an annoying thing. Well, but if I pause... If I pause, like, here, and then I was able to... Yeah, so... sorry. Yeah, if you're paused, it still boots you, but I don't know. Sorry. I'm just quickly replying. All right. People are deciding. Bug Rock spaghetti code. Yeah, Bug Rock sucks. I mean... I'm curious. I'm gonna set up a geyser server. And I'm curious to see how it works. Because... connecting Bedrock and Java cannot be easy. Like, that sounds like a lot of work. I'm looking over at my model as I do. Just run a paper server. Does it connect Bedrock and Java? Because that's what I'm trying to do. Really? By default? But that's what, I mean, that's Geyser's whole thing. Is that it does that. Does paper also? Hang on, now I need to look this up. Minecraft paper server Java and Bedrock. Yeah, that's Geyser. That's Geyser. I searched it up, and you literally have to use Geyser for that. Probably has some kind of translator, the way that binary and Python can be translated and compiled. All that fun stuff. Yeah, it's a translator. But what's cool about it is if you are running server-side mods, if you're running server-side mods, you might actually be able to have mods on Bedrock. So it has to be particular mods, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, I think I've done this circle correctly. I think I've actually done this correctly. But yeah, so you can run a paper server and then add Geyser to it. Or a fabric server, rather. Yeah, alright, we got our little circle room. put the floor back here. Because I'm gonna make a second floor once I figure out where everything is going. Alright, so let's dig the floor out so that I can put in flooring. Are you thinking of any mods for the geyser server? I am thinking of a couple. One of the things that I want to add, I don't know if this is gonna work. I want to make my own mod that will add dice rolls and server-side mods are closer to behavior packs than actual mods, which Bedrock has supported since MCPE came out. Yeah. So that's kind of what I want. I have made a mod for Bedrock before. Which actually did add some stuff. What? Ooh, nice! A trident! That's exciting. But so I actually have made a mod. Create is client side, much sad. I don't like create. Everyone loves create. It is so too complicated. More than 50% durability. Wow, that's a good trident. Yeah, create is client side. So I kind of want to make a giant server. I will pay you to add create to a server. No. I kind of want to make a big, like, server D&D game. And it took me months to get the hang of create. I also think it's able to do too much. I want it to be an aesthetic server like this one. I want it to be very similar to Empires, but I want to add quests and like a D&D game that I run. So I would be GMing this game, and I would be handing quests out to the players. And once they do those quests, so I'm basically gonna be in creative mode, so that I can give quest items, quote unquote quest items, to players. But I will probably also be playing on survival as sort of like a DMPC, just so that I can also play on the server and have fun with it. But I will be, you know, I'll have like NPC roles as well. So once I figure out how to do this, I will let you guys know, of course. I will let the Empire's Minecraft server know, and we will be able to play that too. I need more spruce. I don't want to go gather spruce right now. So annoying, because I don't have a thing. I don't have a tree farm. That's fine. I'll go get spruce. But yeah, so I want some kind of economy, some kind of like trading system, similar to here. And I have to figure everything out before I can announce it, like to the wider server. But that's what I want. That's my plan, is to make sort of D&D in Minecraft. Sort of MMORPG, sort of D&D kind of thing. I don't have an enchanting stuff. Where do I want to put books? It can go in here for now. I have a rotten potato. I have 32 flint. Nobody needs 32 flint. No one needs poisonous potato. Okay. Would you perchance adding a skill level data pack? All data packs are server side. The defining feature is that they run using in-game assets like particle effects. Though sadly, this means no custom GUI without inherently affecting other parts of the game. I would consider it. I would consider it. It depends on what it does. Tell that to my Fletcher villager. Ah, I should have taken it to them. I will next time. I'm sure I'll get more gravel. Why do I... where's yeah. Oh, that's where I was putting my books. Yeah, I can go in there for now. This is a mess. Whatever. Not dealing with it now. But yeah, if you guys wanna send me ideas for that, that is totally cool. But in the end, I will have the final say. Because it's gonna be a lot of work on my end, and I want it to be good. I want everyone to have fun, you know. What am I doing? Where am I putting paper? I think in here. Not like that, though. Okay. There we go. Okay, and I need spruce saplings. What time is it? I guess my bubble column wasn't big enough before for oh yeah, I updated up around here, so I'm gonna have a little village area up here too. And then I'm gonna sort of expand. I don't know exactly how much terraforming I'm doing. But some terraforming will be done. Maybe I'll do a little like tree farm thing here. I didn't grab any bone meal. Some data packs make it so you can level up certain things. The more you mine, you level up a mining skill, which may have a passive increase like mining speed. May also have an active skill, so when you reach a certain level, like giving you night vision for a few seconds. That sounds really cool. I like that one. So you can have like stats. That's really cool, actually. I have bones. I'll go get my bones. Use all my bones. All the bones. Oh, I should grab some dirt so I can sort of flatten the area out. So where is my dirt? I don't have a lot of dirt right now. Yes, it might work well with the whole "so DM do we level up" thing. Yeah. I don't know, ask the data pack. But yeah. Once I figure everything out and how it's all gonna work, then it will be properly announced. Let's get a little more dirt so I can fill this hole up. Cool. Now I can grow trees. Now I can grow the trees. And cut them down. Cool. But yeah, so that's what my idea is. So once I figure all that out, I got the rolling to work, So it's just a command to roll dice. I'm not sure how I'm gonna integrate that into actual, like, gameplay. But I have it. I did it. It was fun. I got to work with my dad on programming stuff. That was pretty cool. I was like, Dad, how do I do this? And then he told me how to do it. I could not replicate it myself, though. And he was like, man, I hate coding in Java. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's Minecraft. And he's like, yeah. But we figured it out. I think we did it in a pretty cool way. So you can basically roll any number. So the command kind of would look like this. You would do /roll, and then you could do basically any combination of stuff. So you could say, I want to roll, you know, 8d6 plus 5. And then it would roll that. You could just say, I want to roll 8d6. You could just say, I want to roll d20, and then it would roll 1d20. Like, it's pretty bulletproof, actually. Which is kind of cool. Yeah. My dad's pretty cool. My dad's pretty cool. Any opportunity I can take I hope your dad enjoyed the server tour. He did. He thought it was cool. I was showing my dad around the server the other day, and Kenj gave me a new pickaxe, a new Silk Touch pickaxe, because I lost mine, because it disappeared. I died and it was just gone. So thank you, Kenj. But yeah. So I was showing him around the server. It's pretty cool. Alright. The fact that it has built-in modifier support boggles my mind. It has built-in everything support. It can roll any number die. I think we set it to do something. Here, wait, I can show you guys. I can show you guys my code. Let me go get it. Do I have IntelliJ on here? No. Let me get IntelliJ real quick. Yeah, I can show you guys. Hope the pickaxe had good enchantments. It's got really good enchantments. Alright, I just gotta download a few things first. I think I need Java. Do I need to download the Java download JDK21 Windows? Yeah. I hope this doesn't break anything. It shouldn't. I don't think OBS uses Java. Alright. Yep. 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 Alright, I gotta wait for that to do its thing. Oh, I'm gonna have to log in again because I realized I needed to move that. Okay. It's fine. It's cool. I just want to keep an eye on IntelliJ so that I know what it's doing. But once that loads, I'll show you the code. Because I realize I don't want anything to break. And it connects to my GitHub. It connects directly to GitHub, so. Do I want to make this... Oh, I can't make it slabs without a... Do I want to make it slabs? No. I'll just light it up enough that it'll be fine. We'll just start filling it in. But yeah, so I want to have... I definitely want to have, like, different stats. I really like that idea of having the data pack that that makes it so you can level up. That's pretty cool. And should work completely server side, so yeah. And I'm gonna do a few tests, and I'll probably have a list of, like, recommended mods for Java players. But it'll probably be like, it's just like the one mod that I wish that I could have is what are they up to? It would be pretty easy to implement rolling with advantage or disadvantage now, since it would just have to do the operation twice. Hold the result as variables, compare them, and spit out the bigger number or similar result. I think I know how to do... I think I know how to make it spit out two numbers? Maybe? No, not clone. I don't want to clone repository. I want to open... maybe clone repository is correct. I'll log into GitHub. It's me. It me. I promise. This one. I don't want to clone it. I just want to... Maybe... Okay, whatever. This is probably correct, and I'm just being silly. Trust. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, do the thing. What? I don't want a trial. What trial? Alright, whatever. Okay. Let me bring this up so you guys can see. So, let me turn off my lights. Alright. My dad's laptop has face verification as a form of logging in, and every time my dad uses it, he says in the silliest voice he can muster all the time, "It's me face." What? This build uses Java 17 JVM. Why? It shouldn't. I just downloaded Java 21. Oh boy. Here we go. Minecraft mod error dependency requires at least JVM runtime version. Of course there's. All right, let me try this. Ah, the joys of software updates. Maybe I downloaded the wrong version of 21. I don't know. Let me exit and then. I just try to download this one. Okay. Yeah, you can have the firstborn child. Okay, yep. Take my soul. All right, let's try this again. Ah, no errors? Shut up. No errors! Yay! So, let me show you guys. It is here. No! It did it again! Why? Dad. One soul in today's economy will only get you entry level coding. Well, good thing I don't know how to code. Why? Could not resolve it. Can I copy? Okay. To the internet! How do I change the... change project JVM. Project structure. SDK 21. Apply. Okay. Yes? Oh, flagging my face out. Are we doing it? Please? If there's 7 million of them up for grabs and a few hundred years ago there were much less, of course there's gonna be a major market crash. Yeah, well, you know. Settings. Version control. I thought this was gonna be easy. SDK. Oracle OpenJDK 21. Update 11 plugins. Okay. I'm just doing things. This is so Minecraft right now. Okay, can I... Sure. Yeah, sure. Restart. Why not? Why not? I just wanted to show this off. I thought it was cool. All right, can we have things work now? Please. Wait, this is not. Huh? Huh? This is wrong. This doesn't have my code in it. What the heck? I thought it was on GitHub. That doesn't have my code. What the heck? Okay, well, I guess I can't show you. Because I guess it didn't commit to GitHub for some reason. I really hope it's saved. I won't know until this weekend. Alright, well, whatever, I tried. I tried! I tried to get it to work. Anyways, it was cool, and maybe next week I can show you guys what that does. I'll talk to my dad about adding advantage, though. That sounds like a cool idea. I like the idea of adding advantage to that. And I'll see what he says. Cause there's some food? Where are you? There's potatoes at spawn. You can take a stack of potatoes. Transcendentalism is a concept of oversold. Huh. A soul fort? I'm on 2 hearts and being hunted by a skelly. Where? Where are you? I can't help you if I don't know where you are. Well, then I can't help you. What biome are you in? Some cave under my house. Where's your house? Lush. Where's your house? Okay, wait, I see your little dot. Alright, I'm gonna come. I'm coming. -20, -24. -286. Okay, -20 is quite far. Okay, I'll try. Over soul. Alright, well, I'll see if I can get to you. Have the zombie spawner I found. I don't really need that, but thanks. -20. -20, 200, 286. You know where the entrance is? Because as far as I can tell, you're underwater. Just try to dig up. There's a drowned here, but if you can pillar up and dig yourself out, you should be good. Those are my current cords. Yeah, because you should be like underwater. Should be like right here. Oh no, it's not underwater. But yeah. Maybe autocorrect should be the BBEG of the server campaign. Oh no, Kenja's worst enemy. I don't really want to dig straight down, but I do kind of want to be helpful. I think I found your cave. Maybe. I found a little nook. I think it might be even like further down, maybe. Sorry. Snuck up on me. Alright. I'm coming. Oh, I see your name. I'm being careful. Come here. If you can pillar up here, this is the way out. The Mawson thought it was a creeper. Oh no. A way for me to get down here without completely dying. I think there's water there. Do I have a water bucket? No, but I wouldn't be able to clutch it anyways. That's fine. Oh, nice cave. guy thinks he can get to me. What? They can put on each other's armor? That's crazy. Hello, little pink axolotl. You're so cute. Alright, let me get back up. Where was I? Here. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. They can put on my armor? Uh-oh. That's not good. Make sure nobody's gonna fall in that hole there. Oh, I fell in a hole. Let me just make sure nobody's gonna fall in this hole. Falls in a different hole. Oh my god. That's kind of scary, though. I don't want to deal with any drown today. Oh, they're pandas. Ah! I think my house is this way. I'm not gonna kill your pan- Why would I kill your pandas? Why would I do that? You heard a creeper boom? Oh, I wasn't near your pandas when the creeper went off. I saw them in the distance. Right, when it's daytime, we'll go grow more spruce. I want to check out my, I want to check out my... What's it called? My wool farm. Get my watermelon fix because I can't eat it in real life. Yeah, it's been zhuzhed. Oh yeah, this is doing way better. It's doing way better since I updated it. Okay. Oh my god, can I please press buttons correctly? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is good. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little town on the surface part. And I'm gonna figure out what to do with the entrance a little bit more. But yeah, it should be good. Should be nice. But I want to get my house built. And I think what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take this down and use slabs. Because I realized that would be way smarter for me to do that, because it's a lot of floor. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this down. And I'm gonna redo it out of slabs. And then I need slabs for the staircase anyways, because... Yeah. So I think what I need to do for the staircase is plan out a smaller circle. So 7 on the sides. So a 4 circle? Maybe? Probably a 5 actually, because all circles, they like to have the middle. So I gotta look up a, let me wait out of Minecraft again. Circle chart Minecraft. Alright, this is the one that I like. Oh. These are all like even circles though. Alright, let me... Which one am I using? It's this one. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3 is this one, I think? Or do I want to use 19 instead? I might want to use 19 instead. Wait, that looks like the one I'm using. Oh no, I'm using 19, so... 1, 2, 3 would be 13. Okay. Okay, I think I'm figuring this out. I gotta do math. I don't like math. Math is hard. Let's go shopping. Math is hard. Let's go shopping. Yeah. I want to replace that with stone. That little pillar of spruce there. I want to take that down. This here. There we go. Okay, let's turn this spruce into slabs. I'll just do all of it. So I could get more spruce. Ah, what did I do? Make clay? Okay, well, that's fine. That's what happens when I'm not paying attention. Alright. So, what I need to do is... maybe? I don't know. I'm just gonna fill in the floor and then I'll worry about the staircase, I think. Fill this in. Alright. Maybe I can actually get the floor filled in. We'll see. If I do it with slabs, because I get extra, you know, you get more blocks, more block per block if you use slabs, and mobs can't spawn on it, so I can do like cool lighting stuff. If I want to do cool lighting stuff. gotta figure out how I want to decorate this place. And I think I want maybe the upstairs to be smaller. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. I just want it to look good. I want it to be a nice, cozy place. I want to put a fireplace somewhere. Definitely want to put a fireplace somewhere. Okay, so we come in here and we sort of have this like entryway area. And let's see. Kind of want it to be... Do I want it to start on the side? Let me see. Okay, hang on. This is the center. 1, 2, 3 is here. And then that would be 2 on each side. And then it goes... That's too small. It's too small. Because that's way more than 3 on this side. Or it's 4 on this side. So I need to go to the next one up, I think. I think I need to go to 15. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see if this works. Two. Yeah, okay. Wait, no, that's just 2. What? How on earth do you remember the pattern to make a circle in this game is beyond me. Oh, I'm not remembering. I have a reference. I'm not remembering anything. Oh, this is 2. Oh, right. Okay, no. I'm doing this right. Okay, everything is correct. I'm not remembering shit. You freehand your circles? Kenj is the true master of circles. Damn. What the heck? You are a pixel artist. That's true. That's kind of what you do. Okay, so here's the inner circle. And then how do I make this into a staircase? Like here, and then okay, so we have this one, and then we have that. Wait. Am I doing this right? I have no idea. 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then this one. Like this. Um, uh, hmm. Let's see if I can go one more up. What if? Let's see if I can do a 17 instead of a 15. Those numbers, by the way, are on the reference that I'm using. I just looked up Minecraft circle guide, and it's the purple one, and that's my favorite. I don't know why, but it is. Okay. One, two, three. No, this one's too big. It has to be the 15. Okay. Let me think about this. Oh, are we sleeping? Okay, hang on. I can't tell what time of day it is. Okay. Let me... Minecraft... Moxie, do you know how to make spiral stairs? Because I'm struggling. This is my... I'm gonna... Okay. Minecraft circle stairs. I don't know how to make stairs. I made spiral stairs in like every film. Can you tell me how to make spiral stairs? But I have no idea if the ratio of block distances would be the same on Bugrock. Oh, a sundial. That's cool. I saw someone make a sundial with vibrant visuals. You said hi to yourself. Why is the internet not interneting? Usually map it with dirt. That's a good idea. I'm using slabs. I don't have a lot of dirt though, so let me use cobblestone. So I have like what? What's up? What's up? I have. There's an armadillo outside your house. That's cool. There's a lot of those. They're around. So if it's like this, and then... Yeah, they're really cute. I don't know. I need more spruce. So while I look for a tutorial. Where's the slime? Ow, it's right there! God damn it. These stupid slimes, it keeps spawning everywhere. Alright. The BBEG of the Minecraft of the Minecraft D&D server is Kenja's thumbs. Brush then deals. Well, Ken, at least you didn't say hi to yourself. If you brush the dillos, they drop their scales. Yeah, you can make dog armor. I would need a brush though. I think you should keep this one. It's cute. The armadillo? I don't really have a reason to keep an armadillo. Like, yeah, they're cute, but I don't know. It doesn't really... I don't know if it really fits the vibe of my area. And they're just around, because it's a mesa, so there's quite a lot of them. Oh, the little slime? No, absolutely not. No. I hate the slimes with a burning passion. Good. I'm glad. Oh, poor Maeve. Poor Goopy Maeve. Luke, what did you do? Just straight up moping. At the beginning of the stream, I forgot to look for Nimbus, so she was in here. I'm gonna post the clip of her purring into the microphone at some point. As a result, I too am moping. Aww. I have shears. Get some leaves. For decoration. Spruce leaves aren't my favorite, but I don't know. I wanna have some. I wanna have some leaves. She's looking her absolute most pathetic. Aww. Poor Maeve. Has to wear a cone. Come on. Ding dang tree. Bro. Alright, fine. That tree's a pain in the ass. Leaves are good for redstone, or they would be if Bugrock server redstone wasn't broken. I'm so sorry about your concrete powder door. It looks like, and this is where I would put my redstone if I had any. Yep, Bugrock redstone. It's a bitch. There we go. Gonna use all my ding-dang bones. It's a good thing Kenj is like the most generous man alive. But, you know, who needs that many bones? There's a lot of bones. I do have many bones. I was just talking, Moxie and Black, I was just talking about, making a geyser server to do, like, D&D slash Baldur's Gate kind of, like, Minecraft. I thought that would be fun. What? I'm pretty sure they don't grow in 4x4. Spruce is like one of the only ones that doesn't. Yeah. Shit ton of particles. Yeah, I just have everything turned up to maximum because I can. I'm not gonna give you $40 over a Minecraft feature. Oh wow, look at that. It spread freaking this shit everywhere. Wow. See, I knew I had a reason not to do it. It fucked up the grass. Yeah, Podzol. Oh, the skin? Oh, yeah. See, I didn't remember exactly what my reasoning was, but I knew I had one. I may not know my flowers, but I know a bitch when I see one. It's like my favorite quote ever. Oak has not turned into a 2x2 trunk or tree when I planted it and tried it. Yeah, I thought there was one that didn't do it. I'm pretty sure that birch doesn't. For some reason, I'm certain that birch doesn't. But, the grass is already... I don't know what that word was, but it didn't like it. Yeah, but I was gonna replace all of the podzol with grass. The source is a bummer? Really? Why is it a bummer? I thought it was good. Yes. Oh wait, I can just do it this way. Alright, well. It's getting dark. I'm gonna go back home. My skin does not seem to work on bug rock because it has a custom texture, and as such, Minecraft's over-the-top censorship doesn't like that and changes it to a Steve or other standard skin. Really? Oh. Yeah, I was having that problem. Oak, birch, and cherry are the ones that grow without 2x2. Yeah. But yeah, so... I refuse to learn that. There's nothing to learn. It's not a learning thing. You just make a stupid little guy. You don't even have to buy anything. Just be silly. Just make a silly little guy. I refuse to learn. It's pretty funny. What? Something funky's happening here. I love to make a silly little guy. My top hobby. Why do I have so much shit in my inventory? Like, get the heck out of here. It's really not much to learn. Oh, where do I want to put leaves? I can put leaves in here for now. I'll keep my spruce saplings. Okay, I'll sleep. Okay. Spruce. I refuse to learn basic skills that all children inherently know. I want like a different wall color. I feel like everything's really dark. Alright, let me see. Thumbs are horrible for typing. Thumbs are the BBEG. I'm sorry that everyone in this chat has horrible thumbs. It seems wrong. I'm trying to. Sorry, I've gone quiet because I'm trying to think if this looks good or not. I really don't think it does. Screw you. It didn't work. Whatever you tried to do didn't work. Ice cream scoop, look at this! Damn! Like, impressive Castlevania sound effect. I still don't understand, I'm sorry. Okay, this one's easy. This one's just straight, right? And then, why is this not... Minecraft 3 wide spiral stairs. Please! Only use slabs, no stairs. Build the inner radius of the staircase as steep as it can be. Then build outwards. Make sure each step is approximately the same size. The step will get larger as you push the outer radius. Make sure they all point toward the center of the spiral. Knowing the vertical distance between floors is also important. Determine how long you want the... Fan out the steps from the center. I don't understand what this means. One of the sound effects on Blex Twitch is Dracula from Castle. Oh, got it. I understand now, but I still don't understand these stairs. Okay, make a circle. The staircase is just a pillar with stairs on the side and slabs on the corners. Yeah. Okay, the area inside the ring is staircase with filling in this area and elevating the box. Okay. This is confusing me. My brain don't work. And this tutorial doesn't have pictures. Okay. Needs to be odd if not this Chat has been a disaster today. I'm looking up a tutorial. Okay. For a spiral staircase? Yes. I cannot. I don't understand. Okay. Wait, let me. So I think that's a genuine question, not target. Sorry. No, I understand. Sorry, I'm. Yeah. Yes, for a spiral staircase. For a spiral staircase. Yes. Sorry. I'm just trying to figure this out. Why is my phone dying? Okay, it says it's charging. That's I don't whatever. Stop throwing things. Okay. Eh. Okay. So that's but that's not right, because hang on. It's gonna because it's gonna be it's actually okay. The tracking bugged for a moment and then a cave noise went off at the exact moment. I'm so sorry. That's really funny, actually. Okay. And this should be okay. So if it's like that. Okay, so find the middle. So there's the middle. And then kind of like okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a temporary thing. link to like this. And then that's where that line is. And then it's like sorry, I need to grab a snack real quick. My stomach is making noises. I'll be right back. Okay. Have a snack. Cold chicken strips. They have crack in them. Grocery store chicken strip. Okay. So at this point needs to be like this. Jack on crack from Safeway snack. Yeah. Um. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's under the stairs now. I feel like this is bigger than I wanted it to be. Okay, I'll fix it. I'll mess with it afterwards. now... I think that works. I want to get some dark oak for the sort of outer edge blocks. I think that'll look really good. Let me just take down this. Pick up everything down here. So yeah, I want these blocks to be dark oak. So for now, I'm just gonna open this up. And I should be able to... I don't know. Three. Huh? When it shrinks your hitbox? Oh, cool. So now that's 3. I think this is correct now. Yeah. That's... Okay, I think that's good enough. Let's go get some dark oak. That's what I want to do. Not how many? No. Okay. I'm gonna clean out my inventory a little bit. But have some dark oak saplings. What's this? Gravel? Okay. That goes in there. gravel goes in here. Get our bones. Let's go. Oh, we should probably sleep, huh? It's dark. Can't be growing trees in the dark. Except darkness trees. Yeah, well. I guess it is dark oak. Oh. Oh no. Slain by drowned. Rip. You need help getting your stuff back. Drowned do suck. Probably go clean up my axe soon. Go see what Kenja's been up to. Ow. Sorry, I took a bigger bite than I thought I did. Oh, I love more saplings. One more sapling. I need one more sapling. Water tower. You're flushing out a cemetery. Wow. We should go check that out. For sure. More sapling. Come on. Give me a sapling. Okay. Well. Maybe when we come back, there will be a sapling waiting for us. Cool. My little path. Kind of just sort of this way. I should get some oak too. And go fix up my my axe first. Oh, I like the packed mud here. That's nice. Wow. That's so cool. Oh, cemetery. Oh, dried gas. He's so dry. This is looking really nice. Oh, he's so dry. And I say the water tower over there too. Oh yeah, shells for tombstones. That'd be good. Oh, water tower looks good. Are you gonna keep water in here? I will make teeth. There is water in there. Nice. That's a good place for your infinite water source, huh? Alright, let's see. Skelly Farm is which way from here? Caves. I know there's a way to the Skelly Farm from here. That way? I don't know. There we go. Just borrow one of these. Kench is truly a lifesaver. To not have to build my own XP farm is great. That's good. Alright, now we sit here. I'll clear out the broken bows. Have a little snack. Have a little drink. Oh yeah, I started saying earlier that I think I've already attached to the new model. Because I'm looking at my old model, my current model, and I'm like, huh. Yeah, the new one's better. I finally got the eyes to look right. So, I'm pretty excited. I hope you guys will like it too. I just wish I could get it, like, made before my birthday. But I don't think I can. Because I don't have the money for the live 2D subscription. I don't know. Maybe I can convince my dad to do it for me. I don't know. Dead bows. Hiccup. Ow. Hiccup's freaking hurt. I'm just organizing. Because I think technically I can afford it, but I was really trying to save up for something else for my birthday. Sorry. Don't breathe chicken nugget. Don't do it. It's not good for you. It's not good for your lungs. But yeah, I don't know. Let me look at it while we're just sitting here. Live 2D Cubism subscription is like $100 something. Let me look. Come on. Why is my internet so slow today? It is not usually this slow. I have concerns. I have concern. It's not usually this slow. Come on. You can do it. All right. So, oh, it's all in yen. Hang on one sec, guys. We have a guy coming to spray our house for ants. Because we have a lot of ants. And, he's here early for some reason. Like, by an hour. So I had to close my windows. To make sure I don't get ant poison in the house. So hopefully that means my mom's gonna turn on the air conditioner. Because it's gonna get real warm in here real fast. So, yeah, okay, if I get a monthly plan, I thought there was like a... Okay, let me just... No, why? Okay, hang on. Please don't actually buy anything right now. I want to see how much it is. I don't want to actually buy anything right now. Because I'm afraid it might actually accidentally... Okay. So. The annual plan is... hang on, it's in yen. So I need to translate that. It's about $97. $98. So I could technically do that. But then I don't think I can buy the doll that I want to get. Dolls, plural. So, I don't know. I have to think about it. I have to think about it. Because if I do it... mean, I could ask my grandma for my allowance at the beginning of the month. And then I have $200. And sometimes she sends me extra even when I don't ask for it. And it would be my birthday month. Maybe. Maybe. Because I don't want to... It's complicated. Money is complicated, you guys. Money is so complicated. Money is very complicated. So, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe. I have to... I don't know. I have to think about it. Technically, I can't afford it right now. And if I can, then I should. But then it kind of becomes a commitment. And my brain hates commitments. My brain really hates commitments. I'll try. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll think about what I want to do. What's important to me? When? Why? Where? Who? All those questions. I want to leave the... Yeah. No! Well, there goes my hoe. I'm done. I'm kind of dumb today, you guys. I just threw away my hoe. That's fine. It was mostly dead anyways. Eyelash in my eye. I gotta think. Think. Thinking. Blip. Thinking. Thinking is good. Thinking is very important. Skelly legs. Oh, that one's got gold armor. Why do I feel like when I pause, they spawn more? Yeah. You get them from... You know where we used to get them? Is... the Microsoft Halloween... Do you remember when Dad used to work for Microsoft? And they had that sort of like Halloween walkthrough thing? That was the only place I could get them. That is also the exact office that I think of when I hear Joko's Code Monkey. Yeah, probably because they bought their candy at the dollar store. Like when in Jonathan Colton's Code Monkey, or Code Monkey by Jonathan Colton, he talks about like the office, and that is the exact office that I imagine every time. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I just... you know, one of my friends needs a wake-up call to do things that we are supposed to do together. And I feel that it is not necessary for me to personally wake them up, and they should set an alarm. And that's all I'm gonna say on that matter. They're messaging me right now. And they did the exact same thing last week. Alarms are a thing. I should not have to go knock and like call you for you to do a thing that we decided we would do together. And it's a good thing this person probably doesn't watch my streams. Okay, my axe is good enough. I don't feel like doing this anymore, so let's go! Let's go! Let's go! No! I pushed the cart. Let's go! I like that your VTuber is sensitive enough to catch your suppressed rage. What? Rage? I feel no rage. No rage at all. That's really funny. That's why I really like VBridger. That's the program that I use that attaches to VTube Studio to do like more subtle face tracking. It's why I use my iPhone for it. Like, it's so good. It's so much better than like any other thing, right? If you just use a webcam, it can't do the mouth tracking as well. It can't do the eye tracking as well. But yeah. Suppressed rage is so funny. I wouldn't call it rage. I would call it annoyance. I think that if you tell someone you're gonna do a thing, you should be sure that you are able to do that thing. And this person is not the only person that I have experienced this with. I have a particular sensitivity to people being not punctual, and not communicating. And yeah. It's a thing. It's part of my autistic nature. Give me... I was just gonna say, there are no saplings here. Give me a sapling. And then one fell right on my head. No, you come here. You go there. Bonk. Bonked with the sapling. Immediately. Get bonked. Oh, this one's short. This little bit. this one's short, is what they said when I was born. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they looked at me and they went, man, this one's gonna be short. How dare you? How very dare you? I think it's because I didn't leave enough time for the leaves to decay. I just gotta wait. I gotta wait for them. Our only hope was our dad, who's like a little below average, so not much hope there. Is he below average? I don't know. Everyone's tall to me. I know he's not actually tall. But, you know. Alright. Okay. Where's my mutton? I make a cow farm. Cow farm. It's cow farm. Gonna be cows outside. Jack quotes random memes. Flex saw themselves full body reflected in a window this week and was like, what is this tall thing? I guess when you're surrounded by short people, it would be kind of jarring to see yourself. They forget that they're tall. Because we're all short. I guess they just only see themselves shoulders up in our mirrors. That's so funny. I usually only see like the top of my forehead in mirrors. One of them tall people. Now you ain't one of them tall people, are ya? We don't appreciate your kind around here. Hey, Animo-Rite, how are you doing? I'm also a tall. We're the step stool in our own home, people. Yeah. Well, because Grandma is 4'10" something, maybe? And shrinking? Mom's 4'11 3/4. I know that. And the 3/4 is very important. I'm 5 foot exactly. I mean, I'm 20 centimeters tall. But yeah, I'm like 5 foot exactly. Moxie's the tallest. You're like 5'4", 5'3". Our poor grandmother can't get like anything at the grocery store. Yeah, it's a problem, and I think she's shrunk to the point where she's like actually having trouble driving now, which is a little concerning. So I'm hoping that I can learn to drive pretty quickly. My dad's working on that. We're gonna go to the DMV at his house, and I'm gonna get a learner's permit. 6'2", baby! Are all 3 of you 6'2"? That's fun. Have your own little tall club. 6'2" tall club. tall people only. It's gourds only. So, and you're not a gourd. So that means, no entry. I fucking love those guys. They're so dumb. Luck is 6'1" last time we checked. But they wear 3-inch dog boots. So they're basically 6'4". Oh. That's rough. Can that happen? Children are terrifying. Yeah, children are terrifying. Their boots are built on lies. Their boots are made for stomping, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna stomp all over you. That short people Randy Newman song was playing on a jukebox. My grandfather patched it. Oh yeah, I remember that story. In a sweet, kind of sweet in an unhinged man kind of way. Yeah. He hated that song because my grandma is short. And he thought it was mean. So yeah, very sweet in a sort of unhinged way. Okay, now I have an idea. I don't know if I'm gonna like this idea. But I want a more differenter texture. Does that look good? That scared the crap out of me. I knew someone was gonna scare me with that eventually. I forgot it was a thing. We getting spoopy in here. Is that good? I need some oak. Let me see if I have any. Here's what I want to do. No, it needs to be even lighter. I think birch. Alright, let's go find some birch. Is birch gonna be too light? Alright, let's try that. We'll try that. We'll just try it. I don't know exactly where... I don't know exactly where the lights are gonna be. I think I want the fireplace to be here. Like that. And then... Get out of here! Tall tales. Oi. Okay. Bricks. And another rack. Cryptid status confirmed. Get some iron bars. Don't really need that many, but that's fine. I think I literally just need one. Oh, and then a flint and steel. Which I actually don't think I have. Flint and steel. Let's go. Black cryptid status confirmed. Yeah, that's cute. And then we'll put the nether rack in. Replace this with a stone brick. There we go. That's so cozy. Wait, if I put slabs here, is that gonna catch on fire? No. I just want to try this. People have toe beans? man! Why can't we keep the toe beans? That cute. I like that. I don't like this. I'm gonna go get more stone bricks. Alright. Ah! Okay, well, I answered my own question. Let's do that. That's cute. Do I want this to be like that? Yeah, cozy. I think I like the... Yeah. I want to have a ledge to put stuff on, but do I want to put it like that? No. Alright. There we go. The fireplace. Maybe I'll extend the wall out one. And then... just to add a little bit of depth here. And then I don't quite know what I'm making the walls out of yet. I know I don't want them to be dark. And I think this needs to be up one more. Maybe as it goes up, it gets lighter. So, like, the next floor has oak flooring. And then the ceiling on that floor is... Actually, I wanted to do something kind of cool, but I'm not sure if it's gonna work, so I have to test it in creative. I want to make sort of like a starry dome. But I think to do that, I need end rods. And there is no way I'm going to the end. There's just no way. Yeah. So... let me see. I think I want one more on the ceiling here. Yeah. So let's see. Let me get my slabs. Just take this out. One more. Gotta get all of the everything out of here. 9. I think that's not enough to add efficiency. I think it's like 15 or something. I'll do it after. But I am mining pretty slowly. And I will fix the outside later. And I'm gonna have to do something on the outside of the upper floor too, because the upper floor I should not put that there for now. I should just replace it with stone. So I'm gonna say I'll just put it here for now, and then it'll end up staying there. I know I'm gonna replace the walls with something. I don't quite know what yet. But upstairs I might add like a little balcony. I think that would be cute. To have a little balcony looking out over the sort of area, kingdom, whatever. Just have a little cozy area from my house. So the D&D Minecraft server is probably going to be a subsection of Aether Reach, which is my sort of D&D world. So there's probably going to be some like gods from there, and if you guys make stuff up for said D&D campaign, it might end up permanently in the world, which would be kind of cool. So there may be some stuff from like the Minecraft world that shows up in my home D&D games, or even the games that we're planning on streaming, which would be kind of funny, I think. I'm excited to taint your D&D. No, if it's bad, I won't keep it. So has to be good stuff. Thank gravel. Gravel is the bane of my existence. Just want my ceiling to be taller. My psionic goblin town will be amazing. Oh boy. I'm sure it will be, actually. So yeah, I'm gonna see, I'm gonna try to sort of, it's gonna be mostly flavor, I think, like what race you are and class and stuff. But it may influence how you play the game, which could be kind of fun. You will not get me with that. You won't. I refuse. I'm not gonna be got by Mind Goblin. No. One day. No! That was not a got. I already knew you were doing it. You didn't get me. I was scolding you. That doesn't count. Doesn't count. troublemaker, Kedge. Alright. So now all this stuff. Okay. This is looking pretty cozy so far. I like it. Oh, we have this upper floor, which now I need more spruce planks, I think. More spruce planks there. Yeah, I only have 3. Get this. I think I'm just gonna create like a space. What do I wanna do here? Do I wanna just close that whole space off? Create like a little room back here? Maybe. Put the bathroom back here. I don't know what that means, and I'm not gonna say it out loud in case it's a thing. Cause now I know. Now I know you're going for it. Now I know you're trying to get me. Alright. The other floor is 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Took a random hole out of the wall. Okay. Need more spruce. Need more spruce. More spruce. Don't trust that corner. Okay. More spruce. Less andesite. Andesite. Granite. Need more spruce. All this crap in my inventory. Better get the fuck out. I guess I'll put the iron bars in here. there. Take some of this bamboo out. Don't need that much. I could probably make more scaffolding, and that'll take the stack down a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's good. Okay. Have a little snack. Let's get a floor going here. And I think this needs to be one more. Yeah. And then we'll put these here. Do I need to get more oak so that I can put in a ceiling first? So if I put in the ceiling, if I can do it at least around the edge, that way I can see where the edge is of these walls. Because I need to make the same circle, basically. Yeah, let's see if I can do that. Oh, wait, no, it needs to... Yeah. That makes sense. I think. I don't know. It makes sense in my brain currently. To, like, do it this way. We'll see if it continues to make sense. One, two, three, four, 6. Yeah. I need to sort of make an outline. I know we're almost out of time, so just want to get why is this one lower? Alright, well. Okay. I think this is gonna be my off-stream project. Is getting this all cleared out for the second floor. And then we'll see how much... of this I'm gonna have to replace. I think I am gonna make a little balcony. Or like a little bit of an extension here. I'll make it, it'll be really cute, I think. Like a little, let's see. It'll come out like this. And then maybe just a little bit. Like so. And then it'll connect to the wall here. And we'll strip these. And it'll sort of come out like this, I think. And then maybe we'll do like oak for the wall or something. Maybe it'll come out one more. I don't know. But something. Just place a torch down so no baddies spawn here. Yeah, it'll be like it's just like coming out from the rock. I think that'll be cute. All right. Yeah. So yeah, it'll just come out like this. And then it'll join the circle on the inside. And this will be my little house, and I'll add a little cute like roof on it. Even though it doesn't really need a roof, but I think it'd be fun to do a roof. Yeah. At the same height? Yeah, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Get my oak slabs so that I'm not Taking out walls like this. So anytime I need to like walk across here, I just go like that. Yeah. It's mine. The whole thing. Just keep an eye on this. I need my stone in my other hand, not this. Gotta get all of this stone out of the way. I was really hoping to go to college this semester, so I would have more interesting things to talk about. Be like, hey chat, I made a friend today, or you know, whatever. And instead, here I am, still doing nothing. Still not having anything to talk about. I'm still I'm so frustrated that like I still have not gotten an answer back from anyone about this like the whole college thing, and like I had a bunch of questions to ask people and they still just have not gotten back to me. And I'm so frustrated. I don't understand. I don't understand. I wanted to make friends. I wanted to make friends. Friends that are my age. And in person. Be nice. The truth of the matter is I really just need more D&D games to play in, honestly. I need so many. I have so many characters. How are they all supposed to go on an adventure when I only have one group to play with? You got a friend in me? Thank you, Kenj. Friendly human. Yep. Thinking of the Unis Honest version of it. Digging our friend a grave. Yeah, you are unfortunately not my age or in person. So, you know. As much as I appreciate your friendship, Kenj, I do unfortunately need things to do throughout the week that is not talking to myself in my bedroom while my imaginary friends cheer me on. No, I know you guys aren't imaginary. I think. Are you all in my head? That'd be a lot of people. That would explain some things. That would explain some things. That is super fair. Yeah. I love hanging out online with you guys. But I do also need some in-person friends. I would like to not sit in my house every day of the week, you know? It would be nice to have people invite me out sometime. An invisible rabbit named Harvey. I thought you were a capybara. This whole time. Kenja's not a capybara. He's a rabbit. It's not just a boulder. It's a rock. Alright, well, chat. It is time to head on over to the next Minecraft stream. So we're gonna head on over to Blackwood. And we're gonna all go over there and hang out. There's an old Jimmy Stewart movie called Harvey. That's the premise, and I adore it. That's adorable. So, thank you guys. Make sure you click into the raid. Make sure it's actually taking you through to the raid. Because I do know that some people were having issues of not being able to join the raid. So, make sure up at the top of the chat, it says that you're joining the raid. And I will probably see you in there. I'll probably continue playing Minecraft for a little while. So, we'll see. Maybe if there's a VC, I'll be there. So I will see you guys in that stream. I will at least be in chat. And tomorrow for more Baldur's Gate 3. Very exciting. And I will see you all tomorrow.